Well, this is where we say good morning. Welcome inside another edition of Police Forum. We have 5 minutes after the hour of 10. Beautiful Friday morning. Of course, he's here with us. Past couple of three Fridays ago we kicked off. Nice. So we're back here today. He's here with his guest this morning. So without further ado, good morning. Welcome inside another edition. Inspector Ready. Go ahead, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sufre. Good morning to my wonderful listeners out there. Let me first thank God for being here this morning. Thank for the breath of life and the ability to come and share some wonderful information with the public and the people of Sufre Shuazel. I always speak of Shuazel because, like I said, I am the inspector in charge of Shuazel, and I also reside in Shuazel. So it is important that I care and cater for the people of Shuazel. But I'm a Suferian, originally born and raised, so that too is dear to my heart. Today, we intend on having an exciting show. As intimate, it will not be about me. It's about bringing the information to the people and bringing the resource persons from within the police force. Because like I've always said, the police force is not just what you see on the outside, the black and white and the officers patrolling the street. But we have some key instrumental departments who support the work of the police, those who work in the background to, get the job done. And sometimes I think they're not highlighted well enough. So this is what this show is going to do. It's going to bring those resource persons, give you an understanding of how much work goes in the background when the police perform its function. Last week we had our career day with the student at the Sufre Primary and the other students within the district. And it was important that we highlight not just the normal black and white police officers, but this instrumental department. And we had the scenes of crime, the Marine unit, officers who were there to contribute and show us and give an idea of what exactly the police do. Let me big up all the people who support my station, the people of Soufrière, my guys on the block on the waterfront, Mr. Ryan Riviere, Mr. Michael Gustav, my good friend Dennis. Let me say a special hello to Mystic Mentors and his staff, the members of the SMMA, Mr. Peter Butcher. Those persons contribute to the daily, operations and support of our activities at the Soufrière station. And it's always important to highlight those persons. So let me say a wonderful good morning. Let me say good morning to the bus drivers, the taxi drivers, all those persons who contribute to the holistic, operations and activities of Soufrière, the business community, which have supported the Soufrière police, in almost all aspects, from monetary to just providing moral support. I want to say good morning to everyone. Without further ado, let me not take over the show and make it appear as if it's only me, because I have a very wonderful guest with me today. And with me is a very special woman, a police officer, and when I could say a police officer, a true police officer, who I would say have done a lot towards the RSLPF, or contributed significantly, and she plays a very critical role. I will let her introduce herself and say her accomplishments and achievements, but I just want to let everybody know that this is one of our formidable female officers who I see, with her energy, her passion, her commitment, will be a great asset to the RSLPF. One of the, females who will dominate in the not too distant future. So without further ado, let me introduce my sergeant. Good morning, Sergeant, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, listeners out there. I am Sergeant 308 Nitaki Donatian, the one with the only, I would say, first female, proud female, to manage the Scenes of Crime Office, also known as SOCO. This department manages all crime scenes within the south of the island. We look at this Richmond to Soufrière district. So it's, for some, it may seem to be a very large basin to cover, but it is. However, with my staff complements, we have been able to work very well with every station department that's attached to the Southern Division. My role in this unit is to manage the daily affairs and operational aspect of the crime scene unit. So I guess most notions, I say, okay, people would follow CSI New York, CSI
That's
Miami.
What we want to know, the exciting stuff. What is Scenes of Crime? What is SOCO? what do you understand by that? Um, so a lot of people watch the TV and they watch a lot of shows, right? And they always say, "Boy, does the St. Lucia police have that, or does that happen in St. Lucia?" Tell us, what do you do as a scenes of crime officer?
As a scenes of crime officer, yes, what you see on TV, we can do it as well. However, we do have all the equipment available. We try our best, but it's not what you see on TV that everything happens by the click of a button and results are given within hours or minutes. Everything takes time. It's a process. There's a process to follow, and it must be done very meticulously. And you must ensure that every aspect is covered to avoid any form of backlash or contamination or the case being thrown out of the court due to some form of technicality.
Yeah, and that is important because you see, what I've observed is people watch those series, they watch the movies, and in their minds, that happens so quickly. And why can't we get those results so quickly? We must understand that most of those shows are between 45 minutes to an hour, 40 minutes to an hour. So the producers, the directors try to cramp everything with that space within that space of time, and they have to keep the viewers entertained. So they will make it exciting, you know. But in the real world, it does not happen that way. There is so much happening in the background, so much meticulous work that takes time, and investigation, crimes in management, those things take time. And you could never just walk in on a scene and within 30 minutes, be able to provide all the answers that will bring that case to fruition. So, people need to understand, the public need to understand that, yes, there's a process, but it takes time.
Especially when it comes to DNA analysis.
Yes,
And all
Yes.
that.
because anything you rush, if you try to rush anything, the chance of making mistake is significantly increased.
Yes,
And
you are
that's why
very correct on
yes.
that point. Sorry to interrupt, because on any given scene has no time frame. Some scenes, some crime scenes, I may say, let me correct myself, may take hours or days in terms of processing, because no two scene is the same, and what the evidence that presents itself is very different, and the whole approach from a crime scene point varies. Where, for instance, an investigator will see things at one angle, but from a crime scene point, we will look at every different angle. We will turn the box sideways, upside down, and then when we approach scenes with an open mind. We do not just go based on what the information that was previously conveyed. When we get to a scene, when a crime scene officer gets to a scene, ensuring that security is paramount, safety of the crime scene officer, the other officers, whether it be onlookers as well, safety is paramount. So scene security is one of the key aspects for us. And upon arrival, we'll ensure that every base is covered. The protection is there in terms of the cordoning of the scene, and I think that's where we have one of our biggest concerns and issues from the crime scene unit. That when a scene is cordoned off, we would like that the public understands or have an appreciation of the meaning of a police crime scene tape.
Yeah, all right. You got to where I was trying because when you say call it, some person like, what you talking about? Like, elaborate some more.
Yes.
So it is yellow
Yeah.
tape,
Yes, so
you know?
you'll see it as a yellow tape, or sometimes you'll see it as a blue and whitish tape. And you'll see on this police crime scene, do not cross. It is there for a reason. It is there to protect the crime scene. It is there to protect you, the civilians who may want to see what's happening. Yes, everybody is curious. Everybody wants to see what's there, what's going on. But again, it is there for a reason. I understand sometimes it can be a family member who is or who got injured, or who may be the person lying on the ground. We understand. But however, it's for your own protection, the protection of the evidence, or to preserve the evidence that's on the scene, which can lead to an arrest, which can lead to can help actually help in the investigation aspect. Because many times that you find people venturing on crime scenes, they take away stuff from a scenes. If for all my training, one term that remains with me in everything that I do, is the statement by Dr. Edmund Lockhart, which is every contact leaves a trace. By this, I mean, when you come onto a scene, you take something, you bring something with you. When you leave the scene, you leave with something because there may be saliva on that scene that belongs to maybe the accused. There may be other forms of evidence, DNA, trace evidence on there. And you're walking into that scene, you live with it. You maybe you touch the body, you take something from the body, and same where you place something on the body. So I would love for maybe the public out there to have an appreciation of what happens when there is a crime scene, whether it be your home, whether it be a vehicle, whether it be your place of business, whether it be a homicide, which we've had a lot of cases, instances of homicides happening around the island. So what we do, what we as police officers do on a scene helps a lot with the investigation. And the public out there, what they do on the scene can hinder our investigation process. Then I'm saying, for instance, I can lead, let's let's look at photographs or images that are captured on scenes, the videos that are taken. These videos, a lot of people do not understand that these videos and the images that are taken, this is evidence. Now, sometimes I think I have a few encounters where I have taken people's phones on a crime scene because you have captured certain images on there. You have recorded the whole scene prior to my arrival, but then I'm away. The images or the video on there is evidence for us because this may have a lot more than because sometimes you find some crime scenes, the fire and emergency personnel are there before us. So maybe the body has left or some things has moved around. But the public, you also, help and also hinder our investigation. So there's advantages and disadvantages to being on the scene. But what I would like to stress on is the public,
Yes.
please avoid it because it also brings, for instance, a family member who does not know what has happened to their loved one. It can be very, very traumatizing because crime scenes can be very graphic, very graphic. And then, yes. So, hence the reason why, even when the media houses are recording, a lot of it is not shown because of the contents of it.
Or is been censored, blurred out.
Yes.
And I'm happy that you are highlighting that, Sergeant Donatien, because people, we live in a social media, environment where everybody wants to be the first to show that they were there or they saw or they were, and they don't realize that they themselves are putting themselves in a position, one, to become a state witness, a witness, because you have gone on a scene, and because of your intrusion on that scene, you may, like you said, brought certain things, taken certain things, and you may now make yourself a possible suspect because you now going on a scene where there's blood, there is this, there is semen, there is hair follicles. You may bring something or take something, and then now the police get some information that, hey, Kimroy Rene was seen with blood on his shoes and he was cleaning his shoes or something, and the police automatically comes to your house because they got a lead that they were seeing Kimroy cleaning his shoe or there was blood on Kimroy's shoe after the incident. So we come to your house and we collect you on your shoe and we do the necessary test, and the test show that, hey, you have the blood of the deceased on your shoe.
Or even the print.
Yes. So you have to now answer why is there blood on your shoe? And that could result in you being detained for 72 hours while the investigation has been conducted and being treated as a suspect. So it is important that we understand that, hey, let's try our best to stay away from the scene. And every solution, and I go to the police principles we spoke about last week, where we said the police is the public and the public is the police. The public have the responsibility to assist in policing a scene where they themselves contribute towards the preservation before the law enforcement personnel get there and do what they're supposed to do. So it is important that everybody understand that they are contributors and can either make or break a scene. But I see we jump straight into the meat of the matter, I'm saying Donatien, and I still felt, there are a few questions
Yeah.
that people from Super Fresh want to know you more. And what excited you to become a crime scene officer? What inspired you, to become a crime scene officer? You know,
Like many people out there, I was very had my passion towards crime scene because I followed, just like a lot of people out there, I followed
yes,
forensic. I really need to do with forensic investigations, anything to do with it. I would sit there the whole day, the whole night, and I joined the RSLPF in 2004. This year will give me 20 years
10 years. Wow,
serving
wow,
this country and the people. I love what I do. I've been attached to the Scenes of Crime office for the past 15 years.
fantastic.
Being in there, I've gained various levels of training,
That's what I'm thinking. I was
which
saying,
has qualified
give us an
me.
idea. Some of the training that you have done, because I know you guys have
Yes,
done extensive training, not
yes,
just locally but regionally and
yes.
internationally.
So
So
I,
it's important that
yes,
people understand that hey, this is not just ordinary puppet show people. There, that's people who are well trained and versed in the area that they're dealing with.
yes, because my training has taken me. Well, I began with at first with the foundation basic crime scene investigation. The training was conducted by, well, most of our training began through the Canadian and the British. They would facilitators would come on island and conduct extensive training. Would have the basic, the advanced, and intermediate. But my training also took me to Trinidad to the Specialist Crime Academy, where I spent over, let me say, 2.5 months in Trinidad. I did complete that course successfully, topping the course with
Wow,
amongst all other participants. So
fantastic, fantastic.
again, Senusha was the I placed first on this course, and my training continued in Senusha for quite a bit. Some of our training has been we have been thankful to get training through the Senusha Forensic Science Service, which is our forensic lab right here in Senusha in Tapion, Castries. I recently completed a shooting reconstruction course, which was held at the Forensic Science Service. And in between, many other refreshers course, investigation, supervisory management, and the list goes on. And again, I took in some personal training of my own in terms of advancing on my other personal advancements in terms of educational aspect. I now hold a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with first class honors. But I'm still looking to go forward and
Definitely,
advance myself. But managing the crime scene unit is very tedious. It's
I
very
could
time
imagine.
consuming.
Yes,
It takes a lot. It takes a toll on us and takes a toll on sometimes our families because all wee hours of the morning we have to be out there, and then we're not just covering the Viewfort Basin. We're
yes,
covering Richmond, Dennery, Mico, Choiseul, Labrie, down to Soufre. So when you see the vehicle SOCO, it only means scenes of crime. Because a lot of people ask, what is SOCO? What is SOCO? They don't understand. But it's scenes of crime office. So we're the crime scene investigators on scene. And then some people will ask me, well, okay, last week Friday, like the inspector mentioned earlier, we took part in the career service, career day at the primary school. And to my surprise, I was taken aback by the grade 4 students in particular. This this group was amazing. They knew so much about crime scene investigation.
wow, no, nice.
Yes, but some of them just needed to get some as to what is what fiction versus
That's
reality.
yes.
Yes, so we brought to their attention what really is a crime scene because I'm quite sure maybe some people out there listening wondering, okay, I'm speaking about crime scene, crime scene, crime scene, but what is really a crime scene? The crime scene is basically any physical scene, anyway, whether it be a vehicle, a house, a person, objects that are found at different locations. These may present some form of evidence. It has been, or it's potential evidence. So the vehicle may have been broken into, your home may have been burglarized, or you may be walking and somebody may just snatch your side bag or your and then they may just thrash it someplace, but then it's recovered. That bag is still processed by my unit because upon recovery, if your home is broken into, okay, burglarized, you come home, you found your window, your front door is broken into, and your place is ransacked, items are stolen. But especially when it comes to burglaries, what we would like to advocate is that the homeowners, when upon arrival and you have noticed that your home or your vehicle is broken into, best practice is not to touch anything. Avoid as possible touching any surface. And if you do touch, okay, maybe you touch the front door. When you enter, you touch somewhere in the house. What you should do when the investigators get to you, let them know. Or for instance, if the crime or if the when the crime scene investigator arrives, what you should do is inform them that I touched the door. This is where I touched. This is the surface. I moved this, or this was not there. I shifted it. So because again, we will still need to carry an assessment. We will still need to question or find out from the victim or the virtual complainant. Sometimes we look at it, we would say the victim or virtual complainant, what transpired, or if they touched anything, if they moved anything, because what you find is latent impressions. Latent impression would mean, okay, layman's term would say fingerprints, but from my end as a crime scene investigator, we would call it latent impressions. Because if you touched a surface and I recover latent impression, I would have to take some elimination prints from you in order to conduct the comparison. So we'll need to eliminate you to say, okay, this is your print, you're the rightful homeowner. So we're expecting to find your prints at that location or somewhere in the house, somewhere along in the house, or whether it be on a glass or whatever item it may be. But the process does not stop there. Whatever is recovered on a scene, whatever is collected or retrieved from a scene or from a crime by a crime scene investigator, it's logged in, it's placed in a secure facility, and then we do have in my unit, with the unit, with two units, one in the south of the island, one in the north of the island. And each unit has what you call an evidence custodian. This is somebody who's responsible for taking over evidence, exhibits that are recovered. Well, evidence, we now call it exhibits. So what you recover from a scene is an exhibit. You hand it over to this individual. It is logged into a system, placed into a secure facility, and is later down or down the road, it is taken for further analysis, whether it be by the forensic lab or it is sent out of the country to another lab for examination based on what is required. So evidence does not just, okay, it's not just picking it up on the scene and that's it. It goes through different phases. If it's a process. So I would rather that, because a lot of people would say, "Oh, but I see they're getting it right away on TV."
Oh yes.
But
Oh,
yes, this is fiction. This is reality shows for you. This is just series, and But at least it doesn't happen that way. It's a process because you would see us on scenes. Sometimes this incident happens maybe at 10 a.m. We respond, and maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon we're still there. Then we will come back the next day because no two scene is the same. Everything presents itself differently. And based on eyewitness accounts, it gives you a reason to return to a scene to find more, or to gather more evidence.
Let me ask you a question quickly. Have you ever been in a position where a family member is like, hey, it's adamant in terms of because you're taking too long to actually process or bringing persons to justice?
It happens all the time, but then again, this is where communication, because with everything that we do, we have to be able to open a line of communication between the police and maybe the victim's family, or if you the victim, we have to be able to communicate with you so you understand every process that is done, because sometimes you would say, "Mom, that matter takes forever to happen." But again, it's sometimes it's beyond our control because we do not have control over the court system. We present our case files to the court. Then now they have prosecutors in there who has to deal with it. You have magistrate judges who has to oversee, and then it's a whole process. But we too, as police officers, are human beings. We sometimes feel sometimes you have worked so hard on a particular case and it's taking forever in the court. But again, it's beyond our control.
Because when you have families saying, well, here you have here's the evidence, and that's not circumstantial evidence. You know, there's facts just showing off, and then boy, you're taking forever. And like you mentioned, those shows, I do watch them. That's one of my favorite. I watch every day. Free attraction, you'll just name it. Anyways, let me reach out to all you in radio and all you in cyberspace locking it down, all you guys over in the diaspora. If you want to make a contribution, feel free 459-7885. 730-5388. Send us a WhatsApp message, send us some voice notes. All right, we're here to facilitate. Let me reach out to Facebook. Here we have one saying, with reference to homicide, on average, how long does it take to wrap up a case? All right. Wow, imagine that. Also in the body, or if the body has been released for burial, what reason do you give for keeping the person's effects of the victim? Yeah, I read what I saw.
Yeah. Okay, with the first, in terms of, there is no time frame on any homicide scene. There is no time frame because, like I said earlier, every scene presents itself differently. And as the investigation unfolds, more information comes in, eyewitness accounts. So hence, sometimes some cases go faster than others because okay, some people will use here this is an open shut case. Okay, the suspects information is given as to who carried out the crime, the arrest is made, the person is charged, remanded. But in some cases, we look at it as cold cases. The information that comes in is very little to in order to complete. So these cases remain open. It has an open case. But to the individual out there, there's no time frame on a homicide scene. Like I said earlier, some scenes may take 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Some may take a day or two. For instance, a house if it happens inside a household, inside a vehicle. For the household, we normally would keep the house until crime scene, my unit says, okay, we are done, so we're going to release it. But that house will stay under police security. So you would realize that evidence tape may be placed on the windows, doors, and the place may remain cordoned off with crime scene tape. And in some instances, you'd find the security by police officers on that property. If it's a vehicle, the vehicle is taken into police custody for further examination. We do have a vehicle examination bay at the forensic lab where the vehicle is conveyed and further analysis is done. And eventually, at some point, the vehicle is released after the go-ahead is given. Or the vehicle every aspect has been covered. The vehicle can now be released to the individual or the families. In terms of a body on the police security, maybe let's say, okay, let's look at a homicide. When a homicide takes place, the body is, okay, we would say it belongs to the police at this point in time. Until after the postmortem is conducted, whatever personal, because I think the person mentioned about personal effects. Yes, sometimes personal effects can be found on the person, whether it be jewelry, cash, cell phone, but based on the personal effects cannot just be released immediately because this is an investigation process because we need to cover all bases. But however, when personal effects are released to an individual's family, for instance, some will look at jewelry and cash. But in terms of cell phones, we normally keep them. It has to go through our IT unit so that you can extract information on there because especially based on the information that's surrounding the incident. So there may be more information in there which can help the investigation process. But sometimes, families would say the person had a chain, a ring. With my unit, all this is documented because for us, everything that we do must be documented. So there is a record of what was collected and it must be photographed as well. So we can fall back to these images that were taken, the documentation that was done. So if you had we say, okay, a gold chain or a gold bracelet or gold watch, whatever it may be. So when it's been returned to the family, documentation. There must be some form of documentation where the item is handed over to the individual, and you cannot just waltz into the station and say, well, okay, I came to collect my brother's personal effects. It doesn't work that way. There must be communication between the crime scene investigator, the investigator that's assigned to the case, and the family. When everything, all bases are covered and we are satisfied that we can return these personal effects, it is returned. But if you come without proper identification, it will not be returned to you, even if you were there throughout the process, because record purposes, tomorrow something happens, I need to have some form of record where this was the individual that I handed over the stuff to. I have an image to show, or a picture ID to show that this was the individual that it was handed over to. Then you come in and say, my name is Kimroy Rene, and tomorrow your name is not Kimroy Rene at all. So hence why sometimes a copy of these documents are kept with us. But in some other instances, some personal effects remain throughout the investigation because it is considered as evidence. Because, sometimes you will recover certain stuff, personal items on an individual that it may have been involved or from some previous cases. So then the link comes in. So then it remains with the police throughout the investigation. And at the end of the or let's say the court process, it may or may not be returned.
Okay, nice. Hey, we have 25 and a half minutes until the hour of 11. Boy, one person's I need your praise. Nice show, wonderful show. Persons I'm impressed with you. Yeah, you're
Thank you.
We have persons from Texas all over. Good morning. Hey, John Paul, good morning. Hey. There's so much to talk about.
Definitely.
Ballistics, when it comes to ballistics.
Yes.
And I don't want to.
Yes. So, and it's important because you heard the sergeant speak a lot about how closely her team works with the forensic lab. And it's important to know the difference. She is the member, or she's the head of the scenes of crime unit. Their job is the collection of the evidence on the scene. The processing of that evidence falls outside the limits, and that's where the forensic lab, goes in and do the processing, the DNAs, the ballistics, the fingerprinting. That is the role. So our role is to go in and get the evidence, and that is where the partnership exists. Policing can never be done in isolation of the different stakeholders, and that is important for everybody to understand. The forensic lab is a crucial part. The investigative units like the major crime, they're instrumental in supporting the scenes of crime unit. And when we can develop that kind of collaboration, that's when you are able to get the kind of results that you see on TV. And that is what, as an organization, we've been trying to foster over time, that relationship with all the stakeholder partners to bring about that strong, aggressive, investigative strategy that will help bring the kind of results that the public wants. And it's impressive that the sergeant spoke about how well she did at, her training in Trinidad, and that is something I've observed with members of the RSLPF. I could tell you, our own people, they say a king is never cherished in his own kingdom, right? And I could tell you, whereas you get a lot of our own people sometimes put down our officers, I could tell you, in the region, our officers are some of the most respected officers, our Coast Guard officers, our scenes of crime officers, our major crime officers. They are some of the most, respected persons who are sometimes instructors, at the various regional institutions. And wherever St. Lucians go, wherever we go, we represent. I could tell you that we always try to dominate, and because of that, we are held in high regard. So let me congratulate you on properly representing the RSLPF, and making us proud. And that is what every police officer should attempt to do. Every St. Lucian should attempt to do. That whenever you go out, and you're an ambassador to your country, you're an ambassador to your organization, that everything you do is supposed to be to raise the standard and raise the bar for your colleagues, for your unit, And when I hear of such accomplishments, it tells me, yes, there is hope that we have people who knows and is looking forward to building this organization into a better organization, into a stronger organization, irrespective of the challenges that we face. So I'm happy to hear the discussion. I know there are other questions about how our forensic work and the ballistics. But unfortunately, I don't think Miss Donatien would be in a good position. So my next attempt would be maybe to get the director of the forensic lab on the show
Yes.
to be able to take it to the next level and give an understanding of, what happens in the background after that scene has been processed and that evidence is brought to the forensic lab. What is done there? What are the capacity? What are the capabilities? Because I know the forensic lab have or are seeking accreditation, official
Yeah, they
accreditation.
have.
They have,
Yes.
yes, got accreditation, which means
So
that
they
they
are
are
fully
officially,
accredited
yes,
lab.
officially
Yes.
recognized as a forensic lab, and they
Yes.
will be to be not just St. Lucia but the entire region. And as a country, we should be proud because we are making strides. We are building on capacity, and one day we will be able to do all what we see on the TV. But again, I think the reason why we have Sergeant Donatien is to really highlight some of the challenges we face with the public when it comes to crimes in management. And you spoke about it earlier, the encroachment and the interfering. You go on, people wish on a scene and collect shells. You collect shells, right? Just imagine the police gets information that, hey, Kimroy Rene has shells, at his home, and the ballistics are done, and then the shells are compared to that was found on the deceased, or the projectile that was found on the deceased, and it matches. How do you answer that? That the guy who just died, the projectile that was recovered from his or her body, the shell that you have in your possession, that bullet may have come from that shell. How do you answer that? Right? How do you answer that? What is your explanation? And I think it could even be considered an offense to remove evidence from a
Yes.
scene, right? So people, we do things and we don't understand the implication it could have on us. It can have on the investigation. People and the police would set up cordons. And what is a cordon? Like she said, is put up the tape, giving you that parameter where, hey, do not pass beyond that line. But people want to be inside of that code and want to see what value are they adding? Zero. But they want to be there, right? And all those things pose significant challenges to the investigator because, stuff are brought in, stuff are taken out that could have been invaluable to the investigation, So, and from a police perspective, and that's something we've discussed, Sergeant Donatien, even police officers on scene, there are do's and don'ts for even police officers.
Yes.
There are clear guidelines as to what you do on a scene,
Let's dive into that one.
right?
Yeah.
So, for example, the first responder, your first job is to preserve that scene, control that scene, take control of that scene. I don't take over this. That is true, but
yes,
is to take over to take control of that scene and prevent any encroachment. Your job is
Yeah,
to
and interference of
try to
what's
preserve
there,
that scene, right?
because the evidence that's on there is what's gonna help solve this case.
Yes.
But if as a police officer that you get on scene, you just pay no regard or no attention to what's there, and then you're more interested in speaking with the public, a lot is gonna happen
Or even
because people,
videotaping.
yes, because people can just come in,
Yeah.
pick up even the personal effects. Because sometimes the family member will say he had his chain, he had his watch, he had this, but then you would tell them, but when I got to the scene, there was nothing. His bag, his little Lacoste pouch is not there. You understand? Because it has been taken. But what people do not understand, or the public do not understand, is that they're now causing harm to themselves and their family, because you do not know what this person carries. You do not know what infectious disease this individual has, because most persons would have noticed that when we as crime scene investigators get to a scene, we'll position ourselves at a particular area, which is we call it our rendezvous point. So that's the area where we'll position our vehicle, all our equipment, and then you would realize that we would get dressed. This is our personal protective equipment, which will mean an overall, the white overall, or some people call it the white jumpsuit. We will put on our masks. We will put several pairs of gloves on each hands, ensure that our eyes are covered. Either we wear goggles, or some of us wear our own personal lens. Even our hairnet, sometimes we'll put over our hair before we put on the overall. And we do that for a reason, because safety is paramount. Because coming on this scene, I do not know the medical history of that individual. And the members of the public touching a body, playing around with it, taking stuff from this individual, you can cause more harm to yourself. You can cause harm to your family, because you may have a small cut, and touching the body, the blood enters this. You getting yourself sick. It's not blood-borne pathogens. Is not out there. It's not visible to the naked eyes, but on the microscopic lens, you will see it. But again, the public needs to understand, have an appreciation for what we as police officers do. And I always advocate to my fellow colleagues, even when I have lectures with various units, departments, even the supervisors. I have lectures with them, just so we are on the same page, that the level of communication does not break, that we know what we're doing. We're not just coming on a scene and just running everywhere. Because when we do come and take over, when we do respond, if I may say, to a crime scene or request for crime scene examination, when we get there, the crime scene officers, crime scene investigation, the scene is now handed over to us. We now take possession of that scene. So for you to want to venture into the secured area, you must seek permission from the crime scene investigator to enter that scene, whether it be the commissioner of police, the divisional officer, whoever it may be, need to seek permission. Because I'm quite sure a lot of members of the public, you would see when the funeral homes personnel respond, they do not just walk into the scene, they remain in an area until it is safe or the all clear is given for them to venture onto the scene. And you not just walk onto a scene. There is a path that is taken, because for some, for people who follow CSI, you realize that in some instances, or maybe some scenes, that you'll find they keep on walking the same place, the same thing we do. So we call it a common approach path. So it's that route that we follow. We have made that route safe. So that route now is our safe zone, safe walking zone. So we'll continue using it back and forth. So if now I want to give Inspector Rene a walkthrough of that scene, he would now have to follow me and I would guide him. But again, he still needs to enter that scene wearing his gloves and a shoe cover. That is to prevent him from taking anything from off the scene on carrying it on his shoe. So that's yes. So he will now be protecting this scene and protecting himself, because some shoes has some threads, like those work boots. You can walk over a shell casing and it can be stuck under there. You can you could whatever is there, like maybe chewing gum that's maybe falls out the suspect's mouth, or what may belong to the victim. You may walk away from a scene with it. Now again, that's evidence. You're living with evidence. And again, maybe earlier on, like the inspector mentioned, you're living with blood. And somebody may notice you cleaning your shoe and they'll say, I saw this guy down there cleaning his shoe by the pipe. Maybe he was the one who did the crime, but he may not have been the one. But the fact that he placed himself where he should not have been, he or she may place himself where they should not have been, it now changes the eye of the investigation.
Yeah, so we always whenever we have those discussions, it's always important to bring the gender neutrality aspect to it. So as a female, how does it feel, and how challenging it is to head such a unit and to earn the respect of your fellow male colleagues? That is important, because that could either make your life easy or make it a lot difficult. So tell us about that. What's the atmosphere like?
I am one who is not easily intimidated by males. I keep my head up and I stand strong, and I set my goals and I work towards achieving them. But I do not do it at anybody else's expense or at my colleagues' expense. I give Jack his jacket, and what I do in terms of my unit, we work as a team. There is no I in team. So regardless that I am the sergeant in charge of the unit, the Southern unit, I do not take the praises to say, okay, I did this, or I ensure that this was done. I look at it as we, because with the Scenes of Crime office in the South, we work as a team. We have that closeness, the togetherness, that I can call any member of my staff who is not on duty and to say to them, okay, we have a major scene, we have a mass casualty. Is it possible that you can come in to give a few hours? And what I do is give them the time back. And they're always readily available. The individual in office may be out, maybe at the mortuary, because we too venture to the mortuary for postmortem examination. And sometimes I'm the only one left in office and I may be busy in another area because even I am the sergeant in charge of the unit. I'm also out in the field. I do my best to help my staff because there are work constraints and sometimes manpower constraints, but we try to work together. As a female, a lot of people look at me and ask, how do you do it? I love what I do. I have a passion for working in the crime scene unit as an investigator, sorry. Some people would say it's awkward, but when I'm called and I'm being told it's a homicide, I get an adrenaline rush. But some people would say that's odd. But again, it's what you do. And I've been doing it for the past 15 years. It has grown within me. My staff has grown to appreciate what they do. And thus far, I'm the female in charge. There's a corporal. I also have another female, which is the evidence custodian. So she's always there with us on scene, our little helper, as I may say, because on a crime scene, one person cannot do it all. So we share our workload. So sometimes you will see two, three, four of us on a scene. No, in terms of male and female. But because again, it's a process because you have to do notes, you have to take notes, you have to identify exhibits, you have to photograph, may have to deal with the body. If there's a vehicle, there may be probably more than one, or let's say more than one individual that has been fallen victim to whatever the crime is. So then you need all hands on deck. But with Soko South, I must always give thanks and praise to my team. They're always there. They're very supportive of me, and I am very supportive of them. And we go a long way. I always try to do my best to assist them wherever it's possible because sometimes I know emergencies come. They will come, Sarge, I have an emergency, but I cannot come in today. No problem. I will do my best to work their tour of duty because, I was once a constable. I was not always a sergeant. I was once a constable. I spent a few years as a constable in the unit, so I know the constraints of the job. And gradually, I started climbing the ranks, and I'm hoping to continue climbing.
And what that will do, Sarge, is that it will take you away from the operational aspect and take you more into administrative, which is the boring part of the work.
Yeah, but it still does not prevent me. Yes,
but the joys and pleasure of being administration is that you now are responsible for developing the policies and training that will help drive your unit, and that is important. Any good leader will profit that opportunity to really make their unit the best that it can be, given that they have had the operational experience, they have had the training, and now they're in a policy directive position. They could now develop the policies and then look at where the gaps are and contribute towards because taking care of those gaps.
Yes, because when you look at training is not just a one-sided thing. You have to ensure that all your staff tries to be on the level playing field. So as a leader and manager of that unit, I do my utmost best in terms of ensuring that all my staff gets training. Everybody is on par with whatever is available. If one person goes out for training, when this individual gets back, they would share what has been taught to them or what they have learned with the others. So by doing that, everybody has a better understanding of each process, everything that's done, because we have, well, a lot of us would say, I wonder if St. Lucia have all this equipment or the crime scene investigation unit has all this equipment. We do have all what you see on TV, all the chemicals, we do carry it. But again, it does not happen within the 40 seconds, but it's a process.
All the chemicals, even luminol?
Yes, we do have luminol, we do have Blue Star,
I realize you know your stuff, Pata.
Yes, you're the head of AFIS. You would see, okay, the fingerprint is placed into a database. AFIS is automated fingerprint information. That's where we have this system where you place all prints that are taken from suspects, and then it's run or what is recovered on scenes, displaced. So a comparison is done. We have a criminal records office where we have a fingerprints specialist there, which is Sergeant Maxwell. So maybe hopefully one day Inspector Rene will invite him to the show so he can tell everybody or
Definitely.
give everybody an appreciation of what the criminal records office, which is CRO, what
Very
it does
important, yes.
and the part that it plays in the investigation aspect. So it's not just for police record forms, but there's a lot that happens behind the
Behind
scenes.
the scenes.
We may not be able to share all of it on social media because again, it may hinder investigation or may compromise our investigation process. So I may just touch some areas, but I cannot go in depth because of what happens
sensitive
because
nature, yes.
the sensitive nature of what is done.
Yes. I have a question. Well, from somebody who's listening, and they're asking this: the sequence for dispatching on the crime scene. Does the crime investigation unit come in with regular officers, or are they called after?
The crime scene investigation unit is called after. So you'll find first responders. These are people from the station itself, beat and patrol or special services unit. These people would respond before the crime scene unit because at most times the call would come to them. They will respond. They will carry out the assessment. They will
Yes.
secure that
Which
scene.
is
The
important.
call will simultaneously come to the crime scene unit. We will respond, or we will also, what we do sometimes is to ensure that the other units are aware, like the criminal investigation department is aware, the special services unit is aware, or they are on scene, and we will come in. When we come in, when the crime scene unit does respond, get on scene, we not just wall scene or walk into a scene. We stay at a particular location. We call in for an investigator or one of the first responders to give us a brief as to what they have observed or upon of their arrival, what happened or what has transpired. And then we take it over from there.
All right. Just going back to your early crime scene days, how did it feel, to witness your first crimes? And do you remember what it felt like? Because I could tell you, I can still remember the first day I went to witness a post-mortem. Some lady passed away suddenly, and I was investigator. And that morning I had to leave extremely early because I had to be at the mortuary for 8 o'clock. So I didn't have breakfast. So then I went to the mortuary in Castries, and Dr. King at the time was the pathologist. So first post-mortem, and I stood in there. I'm hungry. I have not had breakfast yet. And then now the process begins. And then, they start with the, cutting up, and that smell just took over the room. And I began feeling blurry, and, so I'm telling my colleague, I'm not feeling well. He's like, what? I said, I'm not feeling well. What? Dr. King is watching me. Officer, are you okay? Do you want me to put you on the slab? I could do an examination of you, and I almost fainted in there, that day. And it's something I could never forget because, but you get used to it after a while. After you do it a few times, it becomes so normal. But what was your first experience? Because that was mine. I almost collapsed in
You
there.
said smell. I don't know if the smell of stench. Look, I don't know.
The smell varies with the body. Sometimes it will be a freshy smell. Sometimes it will
Is
have
it fresh like fish or?
like
blood,
blood.
fresh,
The smell of blood, like it
Okay.
will have a. Sometimes it will. It depends. Okay, let's look at, for instance, a body that's already decomposing in early stages of decomposition. It may have a little foul smell, but when you get a fully decomposed body,
Oh,
this
my
is.
goodness.
But for me, my the first encounter I had in crime scene was one was which was very horrific, I would say, and very, very, very graphic. It was a double homicide where two individuals were burnt beyond recognition
Yes, that's that.
at a few years ago at Bois-Chardon.
Bois-Chardon, yes.
I dealt with that scene, and it was, being as a mother myself, you not want to see your loved one go die like this, being in flames, burnt beyond recognition. But for me, I didn't feel different. My mind was focused on what I had to do, what my job was in particular. But again, I felt some level of remorse towards the family because again, I had to interact with them because we
Yes.
needed to identify who these individuals were, regardless that the mother said the daughter was missing, the the other gentleman, the other person there, the family said he was missing. We could not just take their word for it. So I had to visit these individuals' homes and to obtain various items to for us to carry out a DNA analysis to confirm that indeed that was this individual. But being in the mortuary doesn't feel, it's not awkward for me. I think I enjoy being in the mortuary than anything else. Um, but I sometimes stay in the mortuary and assist in maybe 6, 7, 8 postmortems for the day. Um, it is something that has become part of me. So,
So no sleepless nights, no scary.
Yeah, my next
I
question
don't
would
No.
be, how do you debrief? I mean, how do
well,
you,
within ourselves, we would speak in the office about it. A couple of times I have had counseling sessions or being debriefed by counselors that would assist in our departments, or to reach out to our welfare and then to say okay, to tell inform them that maybe okay that our department needs some sort of debriefing, the staff in the unit needs some sort of, because again, crime scene unit is first hand with everything in terms of crime investigation, because we deal with the body, we deal with the family. We do have to deal with the family because sometimes you have to go to the family to get information from them, and then you have to try to be strong for yourself and for the family. So it's not just what we do on scene, it's what we do behind the scenes of that scene. So it's a lot. It takes, for some, it takes, well, I have had a couple of my staff that it has taken a toll on them. So, because again, we are humans, we're not just police officers, we are human beings, we have our families. So, it's something that, it's a process, and over a period of time, it does take a toll on the body, it does take a toll on your mind. You look at things
differently?
differently.
Yes, I could
You
tell you
understand?
that as
Because I
well.
will listen to some people talk and I will, I would just say to myself, if only you knew
Yes.
what we do or what we go through. It's like, I understand, yes, there is some sort of disconnect between the police and the public, and we're hoping to bring that, bring us back, bring the community and the police back, bring us together, bring us this tightness, that way information will be so forthcoming. I know a lot has happened and we don't understand, but we're hoping that with continuous lectures, advocating to people, that we may be able to have that level of trust again from the public. I know it's difficult now, but
Because I was about to ask what type of initiative you guys can.
Well, this is a key
Well,
example. I mean, educating the public on what really the police. The police is not the enemy. We are here to support. We are here to work. We are here to protect each and every one. And we don't doubt that there are a few bad apples.
yeah,
And that is everywhere and anywhere. What makes it different for the police is that the police is held at a higher
it's level,
standard,
yeah.
right? We are held at, because your job is to enforce the law, to protect people, and anytime you stray away from that, then this is almost like an unpardonable sin, because you know better. You know you should not do that. So that's why I think the public now, feel so disappointed when they encounter, such police officers. But I know the police force, you know, don't support that. I could tell you, I know commissioners of police like Mr. Mosheri and Mr. Daisy had a zero tolerance approach, and they would fire you on the spot, for such behavior or such activities that would bring the organization into disrepute. So the police, yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but the police is working to rebuild that trust, and it's for us now to do everything within our power, meet with the different stakeholders, meet with the public, let them understand what our role is as an organization, understand that, hey, we are partners. We are not your masters. We are your partners. Our job is to work with you. Our job is to protect the constitutional right of every St. Lucian to a free, peaceful existence. Your civil liberty, your civil security is one of the most important aspect of our lives. And nobody should be allowed to encroach on that. And that is where the police come in, where somebody has felt the need to encroach on another's civil liberty, and it's our job now to say, hey, this person has a right to his or her space, his or her property. You can't come and take his life or take her life. So yeah, so that is what our role is. That is what our and we are looking at ways to do that more professionally. If with more partnership with the public.
Like I did mention, hand in glove.
And in glove, always.
Nice. Hey, 5 minutes after 11. My goodness. Wow. Time is on the steroids. Wonderful show. Very informative. I tell you. Hey, tell a friend to tell a friend. Share the link. Remember, every Friday we're here. Well, God's will, yeah?
Yes. God will.
Yeah, yes. We're here. Any last words? Any final comments from both of you?
Miss Sergeant?
Well, especially you, since you're the guest.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. Maybe, a little more time, longer, because there's a lot more people the public needs to know, especially when it comes to crime scene investigation, because it's not just what is seen on TV or what we do out there. There's a lot of scientific aspect of it. There's a lot that happens beyond the scenes that, a lot of people do not understand what we do. But I'm happy to. I'm very happy to have had the opportunity to share a little with you. But then it goes a little more in depth. So if we have to do this, it will take us a good 2-3 hours. And
this show is on every Friday, so we can always come back.
I know the amount of questions that the public would have for me, it would take us a very long time. But I just want to say, employ that for the public and even my colleagues, that always let's have an appreciation for the crime scene. Let's do what we must. Let's focus on what needs to be done, and not just what we need to do. Just okay, as a police officer, I'm just here to do this. But for the public, my biggest, what I would like to see, probably limit in terms of the taking photos and the videos and sharing it out there in social media or media platforms, just to say that I was there before you, or just to say, I some people would never on the scene, but then they would make it seem that they were there. So it is something that we need to try to do away with, or it will not stop completely or immediately, but we need to start limiting it. We need to start we need to refrain from doing it, because not just does it hinder the investigation, like I said earlier, but it can also traumatize the family, the loved ones, because they will not be aware just yet that the incident may happen, because you may live in Vieux-Fort or Soufrière and the incident took place in Castries. And then to just seeing it on your phone, I mean, it's better, okay, allow maybe the police to come to you, because if it happens in Castries can call Soufrière, they can let Inspector Rene know, okay, can you find this family member and just inform them. But by taking the videos, taking the photos and just venturing in, and what the public needs to stop doing is taking things from the individual, taking things from their personal effects, because the backlash we're getting now from family members, it makes it seem that it's the police was the one who took the personal effects. Yes, because sometimes the first video or footage may show he had the chain, but when we come on scene, there's no chain. But they would stick to the fact that in that video there was a chain, his watch was there, his bag was there. So why now we saying he doesn't have it, or it's not there? But in the video it was there. So we need to understand certain things happens on scene that when we explain to you, please bear with us and just understand, because we do try our best. We are human beings as well. We do try our best to console family members, because I know it's difficult, but one thing we must remember, or let me leave this with everybody, safety is paramount. We are here to, as police officers, we're there to protect and serve, and also as crime scene officers, we're there to protect and preserve what's on a scene.
Definitely. Let me take the opportunity to thank the sergeant for being here with us. I think it was a very informative show. You know, I suspect I'll have to ask for an extra hour, you know. Just joking, but again, thank you for being here. I think it was a fantastic show. Looking forward to the next show. Looking forward to having you here again with us, Sergeant Donatien, to at least, you know, delve a little more into the scientific aspect. Maybe we could have the director of the forensic lab here
Yes.
also to give us a comprehensive understanding of what exactly happens in the background. You know, although that is done by the police, and that it's not just that a homicide happens and the police comes on the scene, picks up the body, and then forget about everything. There's a lot happening in the background, a lot of work, you know, that happens that assists in bringing that case to fruition. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for everyone who listened, all those who made a contribution. I would like to thank you for that. We look forward to the next show. Fridays at 10, we are here to educate and sensitize. So thank you for listening. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
All right, this was Police Forum. Till next week. God's willing, take good care of yourself and others. Guys, enjoy what's left of your Friday, and of course, have yourself a safe weekend. We're out.
Ready for an essential discussion on community safety. We are pleased to announce the return of Police Forum on 18